Live. Do a little audio test. Uh, how does it sound? Can we hear the game audio? And my voice okay? Can always adjust it. There should be just minimal game audio right now. Waiting for that delay for John to verify. Okay. We're going to do a couple more audio tests here. Hopefully John can hear. And Patrick, can you say something? Verify the latency here. Once we have confirmation that Patrick's good, we can start, I think. Looks like maybe Patrick cannot be heard. Yeah. Say something. It doesn't. It might be. There's no Patrick audio on stream. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, probably. Let's see. All right, try saying something now, Patrick.
All right, can you hear me? Just checking, see if I'm coming through. Let us know, John, if you can hear me.
Game audio confirmed.
Game audio.
Patrick audio
All right,
confirmed.
awesome.
Okay, we hear it all. And the levels are okay. I think we're good.
Yeah, seems good.
All right, we have solved it. Let's begin. Hey everyone, welcome to our ABZU stream part 2. Today we have Patrick Qua on the stream. Patrick's our producer. Giant Squid. Bryce, unfortunately recovering from a cold and so won't be able to continue this time, but he'll be back in the future, I'm sure. And I am Matt Nava, the creative director at Giant Squid and director of ABZU. So we will be continuing from where we left off last time, and we will continue our casual playthrough of ABZU and discuss some interesting things about the game as we go. So let's begin.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so glad Patrick's here. He was just a disembodied voice last time, but now he is corporeal.
I know, I'm finally here.
All right, so let's continue the game. So last time we left off right around the bait ball area. This was a really customized version of the fish tech that we had built for this game to get this special behavior of them spinning in this orb. We went to lengths to research how this worked and to simulate it. Probably one of the most awesome fish simulation moments we have in the game here. We talked a bit about it last time, but it's always cool to see again. Just have the predators going through and attacking these giant trevally fish. But we're gonna move forward. To the next level here.
I always love the look of these giant doors.
Very
What was the
spooky.
inspiration behind them for you?
This part of the game, these kind of mechanical assets, you see more and more of as you go deeper into the ocean, and they are kind of this element that contrasts with the natural beauty of the ocean, the organic forms and the life, versus these kind of static, straight, cold shapes. And that theme becomes more and more apparent in the later parts of the game. So in this level, everything suddenly becomes very not blue, which is kind of a surprising choice for a ocean game. Very golden. It wasn't always that way. This level, we decided it needed to be a color shift to make the pacing more interesting. Later in development, we decided let's do something surprising here. And actually, the golden color, the inspiration for this, comes directly from scuba diving in kelp forests here off of the coast of California. Off the coast of California, there are giant kelp forests. This kind of super tall kelp exists here. And when I went diving there, it's surprising how golden it is. The light filtering through the kelp leaves is very warm. And so capturing that feeling of being in the kelp forest just below the surface was an inspiration for this color theme.
something people don't think about very much, right? People assume that underwater it's all blue and sort of dark all the time, but that's not always the case, right?
That's right. Like in the what's really interesting is in the first 30 feet of water, the light from the sun comes in brightly, and it doesn't really dissipate until after that. So that first 30 feet is very full of life and glowing, and it's where most of the interesting stuff is when you scuba dive, at least around here. Going deeper, there's other kinds of interesting things, but really fun to discover all the fish.
Ooh, hammerheads.
Hammerheads. Hammerheads are so cool. Such an interesting animal. So unique.
One of the most sort of alien looking creatures, right? It's incredible. And they're really, really old, I think, right? Like they haven't really changed much at all.
Yeah. It's really interesting too because the wide head allows, I think, for longer lateral line sensing organs on these fish. Every shark has a line going down the side of it of these like kind of organ things that allow them to detect vibrations in the water and electromagnetic fields. And that long head allows for that line to be very very long and capture more information for the shark.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's interesting that you don't see more animals have that strategy, because it seems to be very good. Yeah, very alien.
So was there ever any question about what kind of shark was going to be the shark?
Oh no, it had to be the great white. Yeah, because the great white was the most infamous shark in everyone's imagination. When you think about a shark, that's the first one that comes to your mind. Oh, this guy just got hungry. That's good. Yeah, a big idea with the main shark that we keep encountering, the great white. There's only one in the game, and it becomes a character, and we wanted to portray it in a different way than you normally see sharks. Like in the movie Jaws, which is, the quintessential, the shark is a scary bad guy. Mm-hmm. It's another thing where there's only one shark, Yep. They defeat the shark and then, great, the world's safe again. Wait, there's more sharks. But we did that. We took that same kind of approach, but with a very different message.
Yeah. Finally giving great whites some good PR.
Yeah, they need it. They're very important. An apex predator is extremely important to the ecosystem. If you take out an apex predator, an entire ecosystem can change drastically. Actually, there's a really interesting little story related to that in the kelp forests. At the base of the kelp forests, there's tons of little sea urchins. And sea urchins, what they do is they eat kelp. And kelp is actually not a plant, it's an algae. So it doesn't have roots. The way that they stay on the ground is they kind of cling to rocks. And the sea urchins will eat away at those holdfasts, and the kelp will be set free and it'll float away. And if there's too many urchins, they will uproot an entire kelp forest. So here in California, it's very important to have sea otters that eat sea urchins to keep the kelp forests from going away forever. So that predator, very important.
Yeah, it's such a fine balance right? Everything has to be just so, otherwise things can get out of control.
One thing that's kind of funny in ABZU is there's not very many sea mammals. We don't have any otters or sea lions. Partly because they're very complicated in the way that they move. Very different than fish, you know, like a sea lion can move in a very twisty way. They're very, you expect more personality from them because they're very much like a dog. When I was scuba diving, I had an encounter with a sea lion back when I was in high school. One of the big inspirations for this game, actually. That sea lion, I met him in the kelp forest under 60 feet of water. And this guy was probably twice as long as I was. And you could hear them bark underwater.
Oh.
It sounded like a dog. I thought someone's dog had jumped off the boat into the ocean. I was like, who brought their dog? So you hear this barking, and then you see this thing dart past you at like 100 miles an hour. Like, what is that? And then all of a sudden it just came right up to me and put its nose on my mask and was like playing with me and just swimming around me in circles. It was like playing with a dog. It was amazing. So I wanted to, you know, give that kind of sense of connection to the ocean in this game. But we didn't actually put a sea lion in.
Well, if you had, everyone would have loved it, and it would have been bad when the shark met the sea lion.
I know. That's the other thing. We really wanted to focus on the shark, and if you had this kind of creature that just is very immediately gonna have a connection with you because it's similar to a dog, similar to things that you know, it could steal that spotlight. And so we wanted to make sure that we built a connection and earned the connection with the shark. Speaking of sea mammals, we do have the manatee. These guys are so cool. You should never do this. You should never ride on a manatee.
Is that a kind of algae or something on its back, or is that a natural?
Yeah, manatees are so kind of slow and chill that algae and little things grow on their back, so we had to capture that. And these guys make little sounds once in a while, and a fun tidbit about it is that the way that the sounds were recorded for the manatee was with a balloon squeaking. So, yeah, that's the sound you hear. Bryce did a great job modeling these guys. Got a lot of character. Super fun.
So cute.
They're much more energetic in our portrayal than I imagine they are in real life, but hey, we had fun with it. Actually, there's something interesting up above the water here. In the sky,
Oh.
see something up there. Little birds over there too. Actually, are the birds in ABZU are actually just fish behind the scenes that we've told to stay above the water. Yeah, that's a little foreshadowing of things to come later.
Hmm. I won't get too spoilery with it, but yes, the large floating object in the sky definitely turns up later.
Yeah, and we in the path list we also have a large floating triangle in the sky. It's
Yeah.
become a thematic image for Giant Squid games. There was actually a lot of fan art after the game shipped with the images from ABZU and the Pathless, a big triangle motif. People caught on to that. It's kind of fun. Start building that design language. Ooh, this is a tricky part right here. This is one of the only places in the game where we have a vertical space. Where you have to dive straight down.
That presents some unique issues for camera control, I imagine.
Oh yeah. This part is probably the hardest part to control the character in the game because we want you to look down and swim straight down. And the controls let you flip all the way around, so you can be tricky. But that's what's necessary to collect secret shells. And here we have some nautilus. Nautilus are really interesting creatures. They're little squid-like guys, but they've got their shell. And they have a little jet that they can use to move through the water. They look a lot like the shell of the ancient extinct ammonites. Like the shell that we just collected is an ammonite shell. They are
How
distinct.
similar are they biologically?
I don't think they're super close, actually. I think that the shell is made out of a different material. I'm not sure though. I think that's right. While you're meditating, you can still ping. Sometimes if there's fish nearby, they'll come and hang out with you. Let's see what we can see. Oh, a zebra shark. These guys are interesting. Because you might think that a zebra shark would have stripes, not spots. This looks more like
that
a
makes
leopard.
sense from the name.
But the reason it's called a zebra shark is because when they are very young, they actually do have stripes.
Huh.
And then they get spots later. Different camouflage patterns help them at different stages in their life cycle. When they're big, spots make more sense for them, I guess.
That's fascinating.
That's the kind of stuff we learned about fish making this game. Oh, we didn't even get to see the mola mola yet. Oh, there's a hammerhead. Let's go get a mola mola, a sunfish. There he is. These guys are so crazy. They're huge too.
Yeah, that is massive.
Yeah. It looks like someone cut off the end of this fish. That's actually how they are.
It's just a head.
Just a giant face. Yeah. It's funny. One of the things they do is they go up to the surface and they lie flat on the surface, and birds will land on them like a table, and pick little stuff off of them, little parasites and stuff. But they just become like a little landing pad for birds. They're so strange. And adorable.
Is there any specific evolutionary reason that they are shaped the way they are?
Man, I have no idea.
Let us know in the chat if you know.
Yes, give us more sunfish mola mola information. Need to learn. Pretty cool. Guess we should move forward.
Yeah. Actually, as we move forward, I've got a question from
Yeah.
the chat. It said, during playtesting, did you discover any unexpected issues with guiding players through the environment? And if so, how did you solve it? How did you make sure that players sort of headed in the direction you wanted them to go in?
Oh, this is a great question, and we're actually in the perfect spot for an example answer to that. This area, this room, is a very large room, and it's all a similar color. And we had issues with people figuring out where to go. And actually, as you look around, you can see that the entrance is back there, and it's very dim. But the areas where you need to go are very bright. And actually, the very brightest area is the one that leads you forward. It has the most sun around it. There's a big hole in the kelp above it that lets light in and spills light over this area here. And we also have these chains that are moving and animating towards the direction of this door. Everything here is telling you, go through the door. And the chains serve to both have led you to the things you need to touch here to open the door. And then once you have completed it, you can follow that chain back. So those are some big cues that we use to level design to let you know where to go. Yeah, we also did a lot of kind of trimming, kelp trimming, to make sure that there's always a sight line to the area to go forward. But we actually, as you see, this door was super bright, but as we approach, it gets a little dimmer. So we can change the brightness of those effects dynamically. So we can let you kind of know where to go. Like even right here, we have a bright area in the distance there is pulling you forward. So we did a lot of this kind of very specific lighting effects to guide the player's eye.
So just literally spotlighting things.
Yeah, spotlighting, and also the opposite, like dimming the areas once you've kind of gone through them. See, that door is no longer glowing. It's much darker back there. I think we just released lionfish. Is that right, lionfish? Ooh. Yeah. These are these guys. They have the long spines. They're poisonous fish. And they're also a very invasive species that can aggressively overtake ecosystems. They're popular in aquariums and as such get moved around the world and show up in places where they don't belong and destroy things. Well, there's the shark. There he is. In this level, we wanted you to have a glimpse of the shark. But then he's gone.
That moment where he just sort of appears through the kelp is awesome. I still remember seeing that when I played it the first time.
Yeah, he can push the kelp just like the player. Kelp is able to be displaced by several creatures in the scene, so we let the big creatures do that. Pretty cool. Secret shell back here, and an octopus hiding in the amphora. That area also is interesting because, actually, you can see that it has the golden kelp, but the space is more green and blue.
Mhm.
And so for this kind of slightly spooky moment with the shark, we change the color a little bit.
And the sort of spikes on the top and bottom of that chasm
Yeah, it
definitely
also
evoke shark
evokes that.
teeth.
Exactly. Just a little bit of the environment telling the story. But after our encounter, we come back to a more golden space. But actually, it's a little gray right now.
Mm-hmm. Definitely a much more mysterious vibe to this area than the previous golden space.
Yeah. Teleported back to the magical area here. Let's see. We've collected more secret shells, so there should be more ammonites here. I think we mentioned last time that the way that these guys look is very much unknown, the soft body part, so we did our best based on some reading of scientific papers. The orca's over there from the last level, and the manta rays from the first level back there.
We have a question from the chat. What do you call this spiritual space? Is it simply the spirit realm?
That is actually what we called it in while developing it, spirit realm or the spirit world.
And obviously, those of you who've played the Pathless, you might see a space that looks quite similar to that in the Pathless as well.
Absolutely. It's all connected, man. So we just brought back the life to this room. Giant coral and the whale sharks. Here comes one. Whoa, he's going. He's cool. Whale sharks are so
huge.
Cool. They're just massive creatures. The largest type of fish in the ocean, I think. The basking shark, slightly smaller than these guys, but equally epic. These guys have spots just like the zebra shark, actually. There's actually a whole lot of sharks that have patterns on their back, like that. I'm not quite sure why the whale shark does. They're so huge. I don't think they need to camouflage, but it does give them a very magical look. One of the visual design tricks that I often employ is, if you want something to be magical, put dots on it. Dots are magic. Little sparkles. That's why we put dots on the coral, actually.
I see that.
Yeah. Dots are magic. Oh, there's a secret shell up here. Can't forget it. I think I forgot one in the earlier levels. Yep.
There it is.
Ah. Gonna get one jump in before we go diving. That guy's going straight up. Where are you going? Too awesome. Alright, let's go. Oh yeah, we have the hammerhead shark head statues here. Pretty fun.
How many different kinds of statue do you think there are? Do you remember?
We have a couple of those. There's one with a like a great white head, and then there's one with a Dunkleosteos head, which is an ancient placoderm fish, which was you might see later. But they are a type of fish that was a giant predator before sharks existed. But look at that. We got them all. This one represents the golden kelp forest. Yeah, I guess we missed one on the first level. That's okay. Okay, so this is an interesting area of the game. Turn on these fountains. See some glyphs here. These glyphs are pretty interesting. I think that they are been interpreted by players to mean a wide array of different things. That was part of our intention, to leave things quite mysterious.
I noticed they definitely bear a resemblance to the diver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is this the first time the player sees a depiction like that looks similar to them?
A couple earlier in the game, but this is the largest set of them that we see. And one thing that's kind of interesting is that you can see them interacting with this liquid that's similar to the stuff that's flowing in these fountains, right? Like one of the ideas that we had in the game is that there's water. There's more than one kind of water. There's like this heavier water that can flow underwater, which is inspired by the brine pools at the bottom of the ocean that actually exist. I mean, we made a kind of more magical version by adding dots to it, actually, but
the dots.
They're magic. Here's a depiction of the coral that we just brought back to life.
Chat is asking, in development, what did you call the glowing blue water, and is there an official name for it?
What did we call it? I think we called it the ABZU water. So here's more glyphs, and this one is specifically the diver. We can see the similar triangle pattern on her back, which is similar to the doors and other metallic stuff we saw. This is obviously an image of one of those. Her reputation precedes her, I guess. Here we see one of those corals that got shattered, and the kelp gray. The fish are leaving. Not a good sign. And this is the diver holding one of the orbs. We see her putting those orbs into the glowing temples in the spirit realm. Clearly, she had some connection to the metallic structures here. So there's an interesting little secret right around here. If you go up and turn around, there's a little space here, and you'll see two little fish that you might recognize, depending on when you were born, I guess. But yeah, it's I think we found Nemo here.
There they go.
Yes.
Just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming. Let's see. So we keep following this line of this water moving. Another thing to let us know which way's forward, the direction it flows. And this is a cool room here, because it has coelacanths. Coelacanths are very interesting fish. For a long time, they were believed to be extinct. They were only known from fossils. And then they were discovered swimming around deep in the ocean. I think off the coast of India or something. I'm not sure. But what's really interesting about them is that they are what's known as a lungfish. They have a type of lung that allows them to breathe air in addition to using their gills to gather oxygen from the water. And so they were long known as the kind of missing link, they were thought to be the kind of fish that was able to go onto land and make the transition out of the ocean in evolution. There's since been more creatures found that were probably more actually like that. One called Tiktaalik, which I don't know if we have in the game. Like a little weird salamander fish guy. Here we go. But yeah, the coelacanths are very cool.
Are they still quite rare, or are they just actually extremely common, not endangered or anywhere near extinction at all?
I don't know. They are pretty rare to see. You can actually find footage of them. I think that they were discovered to science by somebody going through some fish market somewhere and being like, "Hey, this is a coelacanth." But yeah, they are fished. And there's a couple other kinds of lungfishes out there. The other cool thing about the coelacanth is that the shape of its fins is kind of different than most fish. They're very thick. They have very thick, kind of almost like arm shapes, which were thought to be related to evolving limbs for land navigation. So here we see a depiction of the spirit realm with the ghostly architecture and the animals that we've brought back there. We obviously see the manta and the orca whale and the whale shark here, and then maybe a glimpse of the future, the squid, and the big boss over here, great white. And we can see that actually it has the same scratches on it that the one that we've met in the game has. So it's a very unique, special guy. Here we see the great white. I don't think it has the scratches on it there. So I think something happened to him, and he's traveling with these people, and they are going towards the spirit realm. There's one little extra secret guy up here. Secret ammonites. Also way above the spirit realm. Oh, question. Will upcoming titles give us more information on the past of the people of the shark civilization, or more importantly, any information on the ammonite? Ooh, a true fan here. Curious about the deep meaning. I don't know. I don't know what future titles will illuminate, but we will definitely keep expanding the universe that we're making here with more interesting connections and detail. Another interesting part of this glyph in this room is right here, this kind of sun-like glyph. You see that image in the spirit realm as well, below everything. So this room is definitely a depiction of that space and how it relates. And now we're seeing these broken triangle things kind of right on the main path here. Some destroyed architecture.
There's the magic dots.
The magic dots. Had to make the space a little magical. Put some dots. Works every time, man. Alright, well that's the end of that level. Let's keep going a bit. This is a really cool part of the game. I think a part that players remember when they think back to it. The blue whale.
Such a cool moment.
With the calf, maybe. So here we're on the whale ride, which is a cool moment in the game. Austin Wintory, the composer, and I, we talked about this part of the game being like a ballet. A dance with the whales. So he made the music here a waltz. It's a 3/4 signature, so that it gets that feeling of dance. There goes some humpback whales. Oh, here comes the big boy. Big eye.
And the camera almost pulls out to like a side-on view for this whole sequence. Could you talk about that a little bit?
We wanted to make this moment that was very cinematic, but still playable. You know, you can tilt the camera a little bit, you can watch them go, but we give you this automatic movement downwards as you dive at the whales, and it created this memorable moment by having that kind of limitation in the control. It's different from the rest of the game in that way, and is the kind of moment where we both see the grandeur and epicness of the ocean, right? The big whales. And we're also we're left down deep, deep, deep in the ocean in this dark area. So we're kind of saying goodbye to the shallower waters that were safer. And now we are down here with these scary, blinking triangle bomb things. And if you get too close, they explode.
Yeah, I remember playing through this part and just immediately the tone shifting and feeling
it's
unsafe around these things.
Quite a tonal shift. And pretty scary for a lot of players, actually. Oh, these are the goblin sharks. Goblin sharks are really cool. They're a very interesting species of shark that lives deep in the ocean, and they've got this real long nose, super long. And we were fascinated by the way that their mouth works when they eat. The way a lot of fish eat is by sucking things into their mouth, by opening their mouth really quickly. It creates a vacuum. Oh, he just got exploded. And that vacuum pulls things into his mouth. But in order to do that, they have to kind of extend their mouth. And the sharks all do this, but the goblin shark extends his mouth in a quite crazy way. It goes very far out. And not easy to animate. Not easy to understand how the mechanics of its jaw works. But we went to the lengths of animating it correctly. And I remember when the game came out, there was a bunch of marine biologists who were communicating to us on social media and saying that they were so excited to see that this was depicted in the game. So it was very satisfying to have that effort rewarded in that way. You guys are cool.
Yeah, that's the highest praise you can get.
I know. Marine biologists, they like ABZU. Good. Oh gosh. Wow. I thought I was good at this game.
Obviously, there's no like game over state or like actual like damage that's permanently taken, but it does kind of like disorient you and knock you around a little bit. Did you want to talk about the like philosophy behind that?
Yeah, man. We just got the secret shell there on the whale fall. But yeah, the what's interesting with game design is that, you know, everyone's used to games that have time pressure and game over screens, and these are important to making game mechanics work, giving you a reason to play the game and get better at it and all these kind of things. But ABZU is very different than that, right? Like, there's no time pressure in the game. There's no air gauge. It's a very different approach to what you would expect from an underwater game. But in this part of the game, the mood that we wanted to give you was more scary. And so we used some of the visual design and the kind of mechanical design that you would see in a game that has enemies and things like that, without needing the full system of game overs and permanent death and all that kind of stuff. Turns out that just the interaction was enough to create this ominous mood. You know, these things are scary as heck. And game design stuff, there was a cool squid that went by. See if we can find another one. There he is. The Humboldt squid. These are some of the coolest fish in the game. They're actually not fish, obviously. But
cephalopods?
Cephalopods, yes. Behind the scenes, a cephalopod is a kind of fish in the code, but in real life, totally different.
Well,
anyway.
birds are kind of fish in the code, right?
Exactly. Everything is actually a fish in this game. But what's really neat about this is that it has a lot of custom behavior. As you can see, we can ride it here, and it's going forward or backward? I don't know which way's forward on a squid. It's really confusing because they can swim both directions. There he goes, off the other way. He's the only creature in the game that can swim both directions. And he also has the ability to do that flashing effect, which is based on our research into how they can change the color of their skin. They're really well known for being able to camouflage with that ability. They can take on the qualities of stuff around them. But these are Humboldt squid, and they often use that flashing display to communicate with each other, and also to stun prey with a kind of blinding effect. And they also have the ability to do these funny little poses with their tentacles, which we researched and watched tons of video of squid and saw common poses that they do with their tentacles. They like to hit these strange poses. I'm not quite sure why, but we just thought, hey, those are cool. Here's one. That's a good one right there. Let's get that in the game.
It's great. So much attention to detail.
I am reading that the stream quality is choppy or maybe hanging.
Yes, let us know if it's still not looking great. Someone said that it's come back.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think it may have cut out for a second.
you may or may have not missed my talk about squids. That's okay. Oh, I think we're back and good. That's good.
All right.
Ooh, so this is a whale fall, which is what they call it when a whale dies and falls to the bottom of the ocean. And a whale fall is a very important part of the ecosystem at the bottom of the ocean. Tons of creatures flock to it and feed on it, and it powers a area's life for months. And so what we did was we put some little guys around here, like this little guy. He's going through a bone right now. That's okay. We'll find another one that's not going to embarrass us so much. Yeah, these guys. These are sea pigs, as what they're known as. Oh, and there's a little crab there. The sea pig is a little cute guy. Oh, the crab he's following us. They like to do that. I think he can even get him to try and pinch you sometimes. Hello. Anyway, the sea pig, there's a little guy that likes to hang out on whale falls. And they have little feet that they walk around on that they kind of inflate and deflate with water.
And do they just sort of clean the bones and...
Yeah, they scoot around on the bottom of the ocean. Oh, here's a Dumbo octopus. Oh yeah, the crab is going nuts. The Dumbo octopus, another ocean nerd favorite. Named because they have funny little ears. And this is a horseshoe crab. This large dark guy. And the horseshoe crab is really interesting. It looks like a trilobite, which is an ancient shelled creature, arthropod, back in the Cambrian. But these guys are still around, and all the trilobites died out a long time ago. And one interesting thing about horseshoe crabs is that their blood is blue. And it's very important in medicine. It's very medicinally healing. So it's actually farmed and you've probably taken medication that had horseshoe crab blood in it in some way. Oh, we just saw the ink from a Humboldt squid. They also can do that. I think if you shout at them, then they ink their way out of there. It's kind of cool. I think even if you're riding on one, you can get them to ink. Yeah. Man, there's a lot of cool stuff in this part. Let's see.
Is this technically Abyssal level? Is that the technical term?
That's right. The different depths of the ocean have different names, and the Abyssal ocean is deep down there. Up higher, you have the pelagic zone, which is kind of the big open blue area that the bait ball, the big fish swarm thing, was in. Okay, anglerfish. Everybody knows these guys. They're the one with the little light on the head there. But not many people know that these are all female anglerfish. The male is much smaller, and finding a mate down here in the dark is real tough. So once they do, the male will latch on to the female and kind of fuse with her. Pretty crazy. That way she doesn't have to find him anymore.
So does he just sort of become part of the female?
He essentially becomes like a fancy organ. Oh, there goes the shark.
Oh, there he is.
He's also going deeper and deeper into the ocean here.
How likely would it be for a great white to actually come down to this depth?
I think they actually do. One of the big mysteries about great whites and other big sharks was how they mate, how they reproduce, and they've tagged sharks and they have tracked them to going extremely deep into the water, and so there's theories that I think they go way down deep to when they go to mate, but I'm not sure what the current status of that research is. These are chimera, I think. Yeah, pretty cool. deep sea guys. Let's go in here and follow where the shark is going. Uh-oh. Something exploded up ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Here we see more Nautilus. Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
The shark got blown up by one of these things, just like we did. So here we let the shark free. A little connection there.
Yeah, that's the first time you actually get to see the shark up really close, right?
Yeah, we see him in the first level kind of aggressively taken out at one of your drone buddies, but here we see him pass by you and even let you touch him up close. Very different than the first encounter. And here are the sperm whales. Sperm whales dive super deep into the abyss. And here we can see them doing just that. And the reason they go down there is to hunt for squid. Giant squid. And there's a couple down there actually.
We have a question from chat. Someone asked, does the shark have an official name?
The shark does not, although many people have named it. We prefer to let the players have that themselves, naming the creatures like that. In the Pathless, there's also tons of different names for the bird that you play with. And there are some of us on the team who have our internal names, but we have sworn an oath of secrecy. I think. I don't know. It'll probably leak. But we don't want to ruin it for the players. They all have their own idea of what it should be named, which I think is great. So here we're on the Giant Squid. The Giant Squid is similar in our kind of tech to the Humboldt Squid. It can do a lot of the same things, but it has also a really cool simulation on the tentacles where you can actually kind of bop them, similar to the kelp. These squids have two of their tentacles that are different from the rest. You can see them hanging back there, and they have larger ends on them. They're called clubs, I think, and they have suckers on the end of just the club part on those tentacles, and they're actually called arms instead of tentacles. They work differently from the rest because they can extend, they can stretch, whereas the rest of the tentacles bend. And the way that they hunt is they shoot those arms out straight really fast and grab a guy with the ends. That's why it has suckers on the ends. And then it pulls it into the rest of the tentacles that then bend over and grab them like a trap, and can pass them along to the beak in there, which you can kind of see. So they have different functions on those tentacles, and we actually have the two types move differently, so you can see the separation there. Little details.
Giant squid, of course, pretty rare to actually see, right? Even though, like, they were thought to maybe not exist for a while. Is that right, or is that just a?
They were always known because of the scars that they leave on the faces of sperm whales who hunt them and come back up, and they have them in their bellies, and they have tons of squid beaks that have been extracted from sperm whales. And it turns out that the suckers on, but they actually